This video will cover the topic factoring a perfect square trinomial with leading coefficient 1. A trinomial is an equation that consists of three terms. The most common form of a trinomial is a quadratic trinomial, which has the following format: ax squared plus bx plus c, where a, b, and c are real numbers. However, there is also a specific kind of quadratic trinomial, a perfect square trinomial. A perfect square trinomial is a quadratic trinomial. However, it has a slightly different form. It instead has the form a squared times x squared plus bx plus c squared. This means that the coefficient of x squared and the constant term must be perfect squares. Also, the term b is equal to 2 times a times c. Now, suppose we wanted to factor the trinomial. What would we do then? Well, you could follow the steps in the factoring a quadratic video. There is also a rule dedicated to factoring perfect square trinomials. The factored form of a perfect square trinomial in the form a squared times x squared plus bx plus c squared is equal to ax plus c, all that quantity squared. Before we work on an example together, let's go over some steps that can be helpful when factoring a perfect square trinomial. Step 1. Check to see if the leading coefficient and constant term are perfect squares. Step 2. Confirm that b is equal to 2 times a times c. If b is equal to 2 times a times c, we will then proceed to step 3. Otherwise, it is not a perfect square trinomial and cannot be factored using step 3. In step 3, use a squared times x squared plus bx plus c squared is equal to ax plus c quantity squared. This will get us the factored form of the perfect square trinomial. Now let's work on an example together. Factor v squared plus 14v plus 49.
This looks like it is a perfect square trinomial since the square root of 1 equals 1, the square root of 49 equals 7, and 14 equals 2 times 7 times 1, which follows all the rules we went over.
Exactly. So what do you think we should do next?
Well, we now know that a equals 1 and c equals 7, so by using the formula we used when we were talking about step 3, this simplifies down to v plus 7 squared. Is this correct?
Yes, it is.
So it seems like we first see if the leading coefficient and the constant term are perfect squares. Then we see if b equals 2 times a times c. If this is the case, then we know that the factored form of the perfect square trinomial is in the form of ax plus c quantity squared. Am I missing anything?
No, you're not. Great job.